Well, howdy, and welcome back once again to the Withlacoochee River Railroad and the Withlacoochee River Report. Seems like a few of you enjoyed this little short video I did yesterday on having this train run a little bit. Follow me through the intro and let's come back to it. Well, not a whole lot to report on this week. Didn't have much to do this week. I worked a couple of days this week, but on Tuesday we had appointments, or the wife had appointments, 2 of them, which kind of precluded me from coming out here. I worked Wednesday and Thursday. Yesterday I was out here for a little bit, and that's where you got that short video from. One of the things that I come out here and do is ponder. So as you can see, I've started making a flat car load there for that depressed center flat car. Yes, that flat car load's looking, but it's kind of taking the shape of a generator, isn't it? Or not a generator, but a transformer. I don't know. I plan on making a kind of a load for that car as well, or maybe a couple of pieces to load on there. That there is an old K-line car. I've had it for a while. I got that. That one had a F40PH shell, probably a Williams shell, I think, glued onto it. I think what the guy was trying to do was give himself some dummy engines so that he could have a little bit more locomotion for the trains, or at least his trains. I ended up picking up every bit of that there. I ended up with several shells. Finally sold the last shell off, which turned out to be that F40PH shell. Anyway, that car sat in the house for a while, long time, till just the other day. Anyway, it turned out that it's perfectly good flat car. It's a K-line. It's in pretty good shape. So I thought, well, at least I can, it's got nice trucks on it and everything. I thought, shoot, I'll just use it as a flat car. So at one point, at the same time I did the decking, the deck painting on that one, I did the deck painting on this one too. In fact, I had bought a bunch of stuff from my buddy John, and it included a bunch of body shells, locomotive body shells, and this was one of them. Was this B unit shell from Williams. So that, and of course, now I've got that sitting on a K-line chassis. It's powered right along with the Pennsylvania unit. The B unit chassis there had it is a B unit chassis. You can't put an A unit shell on that chassis. It won't work. But I've still got the shell out there somewhere, originally from that chassis. It was all shattered up. A beautiful Pennsylvania shell, nicely detailed. Unfortunately, it fell off the table or something, and it was destroyed pretty much. So, anyway, what should we put into our locomotives? A lot of us, these two are just conventional power with bridge rectifiers. And of course, they only go one direction. I have no reversing. The reversing unit in that K-line F3A there, it's actually an F3. So you take a look at the dynamic brake grids. They overhang over the back, over the end there. That's an F3. F7 would have a dynamic brake fan, and that overhang wouldn't be there. So that's an F3. I don't care what K-line called it. It's an F3. It wasn't only side panels that were changed on the real thing. And the B unit is also an F3. Williams made the same mistake. Lionel made the same mistake all those years. Anyway, I know we want our locomotives to perform flawlessly, and these do for what I've got them designed to do at the moment. But you got to ask yourself, what's really worth putting, I'd say a hefty sum of money into to get your locomotives, to a point where you've got them doing, not only good slow speed operation, but let's say at the same time you can have them back up, go forward, move around about, whatever. Have them dance the jig. What's really worth it? And I thought, okay, what we're talking about is the possibility of powering these locomotives up with Blue Nami decoders or something of that nature. As things sit right now, if you want both sound and power decoding, your Blue Nami is probably the cheapest or most cost-effective way to go as things sit right now. And and it's not no small feat. You're talking a couple of $100 there. And the reason you're talking a couple of $100 is because it's not only a power decoder, it's not only a motor decoder, it would also be a sound decoder. And it's a sound decoder with an awful lot of benefits. You've got how many different locomotives that you can put sound in, how many, EMD, Alco, probably Fairbanks, Morse, and a bunch of others as well. How many more do you have there that you could possibly take different sounds, different horns, different, just different things? So the Blue Nami decoder, as it sits right now, is the best one that I can think of. Now, yes, you do have electric railroad. Well, by the time you buy that, you'll put $400 into a single locomotive. Granted, you won't need the sounds for the B unit, but still, you'll need a power decoder. And you'd probably want the extra motor sounds and stuff for the B unit. So, are those old F units there? And I've probably got, let's see, I think I paid $60 for the A unit. Okay. Which, again, it's bone stock, except that it's got a bridge rectifier instead of a reversing unit now. Paid $10 for the B unit shell, or B unit frame, and I got the shell with another $5 purchase of a bunch of crap. That's yielded me not only that shell, but that flat car as well. And I made the money back selling all the other shells and stuff for around $5 a piece. For the longest time, I couldn't identify that shell, and then finally I put it up next to my Lackawanna B unit shell, and I'll be darned, that's the exact same shell, isn't it? It doesn't fit that K-line chassis the best, but with a little modification to it and stuff, it'll work fine. I wished I could get my hands on another K-line shell in Pennsylvania, no doubt, and at least have a matching set. But as it sits right now, that shell is fine. Would it be worth it to take and put Blue Nami in that set? Okay, it's been around a long time. These engines have proven themselves over a number of years. They've proven themselves to be pretty reliable as far as the mechanics go. So, yes, it can. Same with the Williams units. Williams has been around for a number of years. We've had Williams around, I guess since the 1970s. Now, of course, Bachmann owns Williams now, and Bachmann screwed it up, but that's about, that's par for the course for Bachmann. They always mess things up. I've got two MTH units here that if I had the kind of money it would take to buy, Blue Nami units, Blue Nami boards, yeah, those two would definitely be candidates. They're good runners. MTH, as far as their mechanicals go, have proven themselves over the years. The RS3 really needs to have its board changed. That one's PS1. It works. It runs fine. The RS1 is PS2. It runs fine. It runs great. It runs great as it is on DC. Believe it or not. Again, Williams, K-Line, MTH, all of them, all of those are true candidates for installing Blue Nami decoders. Down here, we've got another K-Line unit. That's a nice little F3 there, well-detailed F3, and I would certainly consider it in that one as well. Which brings us, of course, to Menards. Would anybody actually install a $200 decoder system in a powered Menards? Now you gotta remember, I've got a set here of Menards. I've got a dummy unit and I've got a powered unit. So with Menards, what would you do? I've already discovered that yes, the Menards can be made to run very smoothly and has pretty decent slow speed operation, even though it doesn't have flywheels. Its slow speed operation, though, is dependent upon the power supply to it more so than using its little remote. Its little remote is a little bit of pain. The remote does not do well on its own. Unlike the Line L remote, which I admit, when you're running a Lion Chief, the Line L remote will give you good smooth operation. Even if you've got the power supply, turned all the way up. on the throttle. Menards, you're going to get a jackrabbit start and a neck braking stop every time. A neck braking derailing stop that'll derail most of the train. Now, as long as you're running your engines, you know, you can use that Menards remote to power up your engine sound just fine, and it sounds good and it sounds great, and you get it revved up, and then you just slowly using the power supply there to slowly bring it up to speed, and it works fine. You just want to get, you know, and the way you do it, you just turn that on just enough to get the sound going. And once you got the sound going, then you can crank the sound up better with the, you crank that up like you rev the engines up, and then you start moving the train with that throttle. And it does. It makes all the difference in the world how well those Menards engines run. Would anybody actually consider putting a $200 plus Blue Nami decoder in one of those? I guess if you have the money, you could do it, and just to see. But I don't know. We're still talking about plastic gears. And I've seen a few Menards that were, you know, they were damaged beyond any kind of repair, really. I guess it could be done, however, and one reason to do it would be to see if it can be done. I'm sure it can be done. There's no question it can be done. Can it be done on an economy move? Because you got to remember, you're talking about a locomotive here. Full retail on it is under $200. It's about $170, I think, or something like that. And then, of course, Menards has sales all the time. So, something to consider there would be, would you do it? I know I would do it, at least on that A unit with K-line, or definitely on that A unit, my Western Pacific, which is a K-line. And that thing's beautiful, ain't it? I love that Western Pacific F3. And that one shows off as a true F3. It's got it's got all that chicken wire and stuff on it. And it's got the tall fans. Cool engine. Anyway, as you know, I've over time on some of the Monday Night Madness, I've been sitting there making mods to my Menards F units, but I'm thinking, okay, it's time to try to come up with a way of getting my hands on a couple of Blue Nami units just to try them out. I would love to be able to do these MTH units. Again, those engines, yes, they're high enough retail, but I mean, they're good, tough engines. They're good, well-built engines. They're smooth operators. And having Blue Nami in them would make them, I think, would actually enhance both of those Rail King engines. Yes, of course it would enhance any of the F units I've got. But again, you know, I guess that's something that has to be personal to each and every person out there. What would you do? You know, hey, leave it in the comments. Would you put a Blue Nami decoder in your Menards F units? Me personally, as things sit right now, I would like to get more of the Menards F units. I like them. And when you now, of course, it's a little iffy on how you run them, because you got to sit there and work two controllers at once, one for all the sounds you want to get, and of course, one to get smooth operation. As most of you know, I demonstrated before how you get smooth operation, how you rev up the engines, the sound, the engine sound, how you rev that up and get it barely moving, and then you start cranking up on the main power pack. It does make a difference. It's something that, while I, of course, cannot at any point at this where I'm sitting now, I cannot afford to even consider buying a bunch of Blue Nami decoders. I can't even buy one right now. So I'm not even really thinking about it. But, you come out here and you ponder these things, and that's what I'm doing here. Would you, if you had the money and the time, would you consider putting Blue Nami decoders in your engines? When it comes to my steam engines, I have nothing of legacy or any kind of the only really decent steam locomotives I've got one MTH Rail King Mogul, which that one would work fine probably with an HO decoder. It's got a very small motor in it and stuff, so it probably wouldn't pull much in the way of amperage. Same with a little 080 I've got down there. It's an old conventional 080. That one might run well too. What about that Docksider sitting up there on the passing track? Yeah, that one could probably benefit. And again, you could probably use one of the smaller HO scale decoders in it, which that would definitely lower the price. That one does have a speaker because it did have a horn or a whistle. Actually, it's still got it. Nothing's been taken out of it. But yes, I do believe that one could be. And we already know the motor works fine. We've tested the motor. I hooked up directly to the motor. Yes, there's it's got other problems and it won't run. But yes, I've tested the motor. The motor runs fine. So with that in mind, let me know in the comments. Would you even consider putting Blue Nami in any of your locomotives, or some kind of, it doesn't even have to be Soundtrack's Blue Nami. It could be any kind of command control. Maybe you would consider putting in Digitracks. Even on a 3-rail layout, you could run just about any. You would have to switch everything over, but you could run just about any DCC system on it. You just got to remember, you're not running your normal conventional AC power supplies then. But it can be done. And with today's newer locomotives, I would not suggest it on the K line because those pull a little bit of amperage. It's iffy on those two Alcos or the Williams because but then again, a lot of that amperage is also pulled by the circuit boards. So yeah, you have to take that into account too. Whereas some of the older engines work fine on DC. Some of the newer engines do actually work okay on DC. So, but you gotta figure, hey, is it worth it to you? If you've got nothing but post-war engines, would you take and consider putting command control in any of them? Somehow, somewhere, some way. It'd be cool to find out. You know, I belong to several groups over there on Facebook, and one of them happens to be the same group that I think it's owned by Leonard Williams. I'm not sure. On Facebook, it's the Outside Third Rail group. So there's groups out there still catering to the outside third rail end of the hobby, which I think is great. But it would be interesting, I think. Maybe we could take and consider, like I said, any kind of DCC setup, not just Blue Nami. I'm hooked on the Blue Nami board because of its abilities and stuff, and it has some wonderful abilities to it that I've seen so far. Is it perfect? Probably not. Nothing's perfect. And anything made by man can certainly fail. But, hey, what can I say? Really? Don't that figure? Dang. It's got to slingshot its way around. Hey, until next time, happy railroading.